Hi, welcome to this video in which we are going to see a grammar lesson that corresponds to the book Skillful 3, Listening and Speaking, Unit number 7, page 129. So let's get started. Well, we're going to start with the definition of the grammatical structure that we're going to see today. So here we have the question that says, when do we use the present unreal conditional? And here we have our answer. It says, we use the present and real conditional to talk about mainly four things, which would be unreal, untrue, imagined, or impossible situations. Basically, we talk about situations that are not true. So here we are going to see the formula. I'm going to share with you a very general formula. Here we have the title, as you know, the present and real conditional. Well, our formula says that first of all, we have the conditional if, then we have the subject, then we have the verb in the simple past, which is very important. Then we have something else. Then we have the comma. The comma separates actually the if clause and the result clause. Then we have the subject. And as you can see here, I have three possible verbs that I can use. Would, could, and might. And then we have the verb, the base form, and then something else. Okay? Based on this formula, this information, we are going to see some examples. Here we have four examples. Let me share them with you. All right, perfect. Example number one. If I loved her, comma, I would marry her. But in this case, if you see I don't love her. Here says, but I don't love her, so I won't marry her. That would be my first example. Let's continue with the second. The second says, if I had more free time, comma, I might go to the gym. But the truth is that I don't have free time, so I don't go to the gym. The third example would be, if I had money, comma, I wouldn't live here. But I don't have money, so I live here. Example number four. If I were rich, comma, I might not work. But the truth is that I am not rich, so I have to work. As you can see, there is a pattern in all these examples. The pattern is that after the if, in the if clause, I do have the verb in the simple past. In number one is loved. In number two is had. In number three is had as well. And in number four is where. The information that comes after the comma, the result clause, the main characteristic is that I have the verb. First of all, I have the verb would plus the verb in the base form, marry. In the second one, I have might. Remember that we can use that verb as well. Then I have the verb in the base form, which is go. Then in the third example, I have wouldn't. In this case, it's negative form. My verb in the base form, live. And finally, in example number four, I have might. The same, it's in the negative form plus the verb in the base form, work. Well, now we're going to continue, and I'm going to show you the following. Here we have a note, okay, that has to do with a very particular situation about the unreal conditional, the unreal present conditional. So let's analyze this note. Give me a second, please. I'm going to get ready with my mouse. Here it says, note, use where for all subjects when the verb in the if clause is a form of the verb be. Here we have three examples. Now pay attention, please. Number one, if I were you, I wouldn't go out. Well, normally I would use here was because I have I, but in this case I'm going to use were because it's unreal. In the case of number two, if she were sick, she couldn't travel. The same situation. In a normal sentence, I would use was, but since it's unreal, I need to use were. And the same happens in example number 3. If we pay attention to number 3, it says, if he were here, he might know more about it. But the fact is that he is not here. That's why I have to use the verb were. In the 3 cases, as you can see, I use were in the if clause. Okay, now we are going to continue, and I'm going to share with you another note that it's very important to know. And you will see this as we work on some exercises. So let me see. Here says, note, you can also begin conditional sentences with a result clause. For example, number 1, if I loved her, I would marry her. So I changed the order. So I can say, I would marry her if I loved her. So in this case, if you notice, I start with a result clause. In this case, one characteristic is that I do not use a comma. I use the comma only when I begin the sentence with the if clause. Let's continue with 2 more examples. Here I have in number 2, if I had more free time, I might go to the gym. So I can say, I might go to the gym if I had more free time. The same here in number 3. I start with the if clause, and it says, if I had money, I wouldn't live here. And the other way to say this would be, I wouldn't live here if I had money. Okay, so these are examples that indicate that we can begin our sentences with a result clause. All right, let's continue. Now, after this brief explanation, we are going to do some exercises. Let me model the first one. Here, let's read first of all the instructions. Here it says, use the correct form of the verbs in parentheses to complete the conditional sentences. Okay, so here we have number 1. Here says, if people, 3 dots, we have the verb be, more conscious, comma, they spent too much water. Okay, so what do I do in this case? Let's remember the rule. The rule says that in the if clause, the verb has to go in the past form. So in this case, I say, if people were. I'm going to use capital letters. Okay, if people were more conscious, here I can use the verb would, as I told you. Okay, let me see. We're going to use would. That's one option. Remember that the other one could be could, or I can use might as well. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add the verb might. I can use any. So I have here would, could, or might. I can use any of them. Okay, perfect. So this will be the first answer for number 1. Now we are going to continue with number 2. Okay, I'm going to give you some time so you can think about the possible answer for number 2. Remember the rule. In the if clause, the verb should go in the past, and the result clause, the verb should go with either would, could, or might, any of those verbs plus the base form. So I'm going to give you some time to think about the possible answer, and then I'm going to share the correct answer with you. Okay, so let's do it. In this case, here says if he, the verb is spent, what I have to do is I have to put the verb in the simple past. If he spent less money, then I put here he. I can use, remember, would. I can use, let me use capital letters, please. Would. I can use could or might, any of those verbs. Okay, and then the verb in the base form. So in this case will be be able to save. Okay, here we have the answer for exercise number 2. Let me highlight it so you can see it. And here I'm going to highlight the 3 possible options that you can use, as I told you before. Great. Let's move on to example number 3. The same, I'm going to give you some time, some seconds, so you can think about the possible answer. Go ahead, please. Remember the rule, yes? In the if clause, the verb goes in the simple past, and after the comma, the result clause. In the result clause, the verb you can use would, you can use could, might, and the verb in the base form. Okay, are you ready? So let's do it together. So in this case, here I have if they, in parentheses I have be, so I have to use were. If they were here, comma, we, remember we have 3 options. I can say would, I can say could, or might, and the verb in the base form. In this case, I'm going to use blue color to show you the verb in the base form. There you are. Talk. Here I have 3 options, as I told you. I'm going to highlight, I'm going to use yellow, and the verb is always in the simple past. Remember, past unreal conditional. Okay, we are done with this. Let's move on to example number 4. The same, I'm going to give you some time to think about the possible answer. Remember, in the if clause, the verb goes in the simple past. After the comma, in the result clause, the verb goes, you can use would, could, might, and the verb in the base form. Okay, so let's do it together. So in this case, I can say if you, my verb is recycled, so I'm going to use simple past. I would say this is a regular verb, so I just need to add the D. If you recycle, I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to use yellow color. If you recycled more, comma, we, remember, do you remember the 3 options? Let's see, would, which is the other one? Exact is could, and the other? That's right, it's might. Excellent. Very good. And remember, this is very important, the verb goes in the base form. So in this case, I need the verb help the environment. Perfect. Great. Let me use blue in order to show you the base form. And let's highlight the 3 possible verbs that we can use in the result clause. Great. There is one more example. Here I have number 5. The same, I'm going to give you some minutes so you can think about the possible answers. Well, in this case, the possible answer. Remember, in the if clause, the verb goes in the simple past. That's the key. And in the information that comes after the comma, the result clause, we can use would, could, might, and the verb in the base form. Okay, do you think you're ready? Okay, let's see. Let's do it together. So here I have if she insisted. If she insisted, we're going to use, this is a regular verb, so I have to add just the E and the D. And we have she, which are the 3 verbs. Do you remember? Exact, you can say could. The other one is exact, it's would, and the other one is might. Excellent, very good. And remember, we need the verb in the base form, in this case, past. Even though the verb is in parentheses, we still need to put it there because it's very important that we emphasize on that particular aspect. So I'm going to turn past into blue color. That means that it's in the base form. Excellent. Very good. Here we have another example, which is number 6. The same, I'm going to give you some time so you can think about it. Remember, this is a friendly reminder. In the if clause, the verb goes in the simple past. After the comma, the result clause, we have the verbs would, could, might, plus the verb in the base form. Okay, do you want me to help you? Let's do it together. All right? So in this case, what's the past of win? The past is won. If I won the lottery, okay, which is something impossible, I think, So I'm going to highlight, I'm going to use yellow color. After the comma, I have the result clause. So in this case, do you remember the three verbs? So let's try to remember. The first one is exact, would. The other one, great, is good. And the other one would be might. Excellent, very good. And something important, we use the verb in the base form. In this case, trouble, I'm going to turn into blue color. Okay, and I'm going to highlight would, could, and might. There you are. Great, perfect. Okay, now we are gonna do another type of exercise. Let's see the instructions. Okay, let's analyze them. Here says exercises, instructions. Write conditional sentences using the information in parentheses. This time, based on the information that we have here, what we have to do is we have to come up with a conditional sentence. Okay, so let's analyze number one. Number one says the school is very dirty. So that's the situation. School is very dirty. Now, in parentheses, I have a good headmaster, neat and clean. Okay, since this is the first one, let me show you what you have to do. So in this case, we put if the school, in this case, the verb is had a good headmaster, comma, I can say it. Remember the verbs that we can use would, could, or might be it and clean. Oops, something happened. Sorry. Let me fix this, please. Okay, let's continue. So, sorry, it happens. Okay, so let me see. If the school, okay, in this case, I need the verb in the simple past, remember. If the school had a good headmaster, comma, it would, could, might be neat and clean. And period. That's right. Okay, that's my first exercise. Very good. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm going to highlight. Here we have the verb in the simple past. And here I have the three possible options that I can use. Any of those three verbs, would, could, or might. Let me highlight those verbs. And just in case here, I'm going to turn into blue because it does not belong to those particular verbs. Great. Let's move on to number two. Okay. Now, analyze the example number two. I'm going to give you some seconds so you try to come up with the answer. In this case says high school students fail in the admission tests. In parentheses says study more, pass the tests. So let's do it together. So first of all, we need a conditional if high school students studied simple past more, comma, they would, could, or might pass the tests. Those would be the answers, okay? So here I'm gonna change into the blue color, okay? More, blue color, okay, and pass the tests. Here I am using the three options just to show you that you can use any of them. Okay, perfect. So this will be my answer for number two. Let's continue with number three. I'm going to give you some seconds so you can analyze the statement. Here we have the police officers aren't enough to control the criminality. In parentheses, we have be enough. People feel safer. Okay, so let's work on the answer. I start with the conditional if the police officers, in this case, I have to use were enough, comma, um, people, I can say would, could, or might feel safer. And that will be my conditional. So let me use here blue color. Okay. So I'm gonna, the verb where is in red because it has to be in the simple past. If the police officers were enough people, the citizens might, could, would feel safer. But they don't feel safe because there is too much criminality. Okay. So let's move on to number four. There you are. Here it says the classroom is too small. Be larger, students feel comfortable. Okay, so in this case, what do I need? First, I need if the classroom, in this case, I have to use where larger, comma, students, oops, I put a double T there. Students would, the other option is could or might feel comfortable. But the truth is that the classroom is too small. That's the truth. Okay, so here we have if the classroom were larger. Okay, students might feel comfortable. All right. We have one more. Okay, let's work on it. It says, the traffic is so chaotic. In parentheses says, have more bridges and highways, neat and clean. Okay, here it's missing the verb be, I think. Yes, we need a verb be there. We need a verb. We just have the adjectives. Okay, now it's okay. So let's start. If the traffic, okay, in this case, we're going to make some changes here. The traffic is so chaotic. In this case, we're going to put the city. Okay, here we're going to put the city. Actually, here. City. So sorry for this. Okay. Perfect. All right. Now, in this case, I would say if the city had more bridges and highways, city would, could, and might be neat and clean. There you are. Now it's okay. Perfect. So here is I think this is my last example. Okay. Here we have the city, which is the subject. Then we have the three verbs, yes, could, would, might, the verb in the base form be, and the two adjectives, neat and clean. All right, there you are. That will be the last example. Well, After this explanation, now you are ready to work on page 129, grammar section, exercises 1 and 2. Thank you so much for watching.